It's like Vic Matus, who's the weekend editor of the Washington Free Beacon and the co-host of Getting Hammered podcast, which will be part of my stress-reducing, very long ramble today. Good morning, Vic. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. I'm hanging in there.
Oh, you've got a cold too. Do I hear a cold?
No, it's just the morning. It's the morning. It's the morning voice. That's all. But I still have to clear things out.
I have laryngitis, and I have been taking anti-laryngitis meds all weekend because I got to talk this week, right? So, Vic, what's going to happen? What's going to happen, Vic? I'm trusting you. What do you think?
Yeah. I wish, just for the sake of clicks, I can tell you that I've got the answer here, that Trump is taking this running away. And unfortunately, I've got to be honest, which is I don't know. And I think most people, and you said this yourself, let's be honest here. We only know what we know, and what we know is not a lot right now. The biggest problem, of course, are how to gauge the polls and this whole non-response bias. We know a lot of the Trump supporters don't answer polls, and these pollsters are trying to figure out, how do we weigh that? Are we overweighing it? Are we underweighing it? You had the Ann Selzer poll that everybody wants to talk about now, and they want to say, oh, this is it. This is the change and the shift. And there's a worry from a lot of people on our side, on the right, that says, oh, this is going to depress the vote out there. But it also can cause overconfidence on the other side. I think the more important thing is the Trump campaign not put themselves in a Hillary Clinton 2016 mindset and continue to think of themselves as that underdog, and just, as the president, the former president would say, just keep fighting, down to the only poll that's going to count. And I hate to say it because we joke about this all the time on the show, but the only one that matters is tomorrow. So we'll see. But if you look at all the indicators, it would make sense that Trump would win. You think about registered voters, and you think about what people care about the most and who they think that would do a better job. We may look back at this, Hugh, and say, wow, that was really obvious, but who knows?
Now, I'm 68, Vic, and you're much younger than me. So when I say this a little bit different, I've been doing presidential campaigns since 1976. This is the craziest year ever. Of course, we haven't had a former president run again, and we've never had an incumbent president drop out and his nominee selected not by a convention in smoky rooms, but by process of this is, I guess, who President Obama wanted, and Nancy Pelosi. It's so extraordinary. But I want to play for you, and I rarely do this on my chat with Vic, but I want his reaction to it. Our mutual friend, Guy Benson, was on Fox News yesterday, and this is a 2-minute clip, but we got plenty of time. And he just did 3 side-by-sides or 4 side-by-sides of Harris then and Harris now, which I want you to comment on when we're done. Let's play for Vic Matus, cut number 6, our friend Guy Benson on Big Show on Sunday.
All right, so now to this. Kamala Harris's policy pivots, there's many of them, and they're hard to miss. The question is, are moderates and undecided voters buying any of it? For instance, watch her flip-flop on guns.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Second Amendment?
We have to get these guns off the street.
Look, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anybody's guns away.
Except when she does. She also pulled this 180 on fracking.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States.
Here she is walking back her policy on EV mandates.
So will everyone have to drive electric cars?
Well, by my plan, by 2045, we will have basically zero-emission vehicles only.
I will never tell you what kind of car you have to drive.
No, she did. Oh, and then, of course, there's the border wall. She loathed it. Now I guess she's for it.
Folks have plenty enough problems that they need their president to focus on instead of a wall. That wall ain't going to stop them.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
Good ideas. I guess the wall is no longer an un-American vanity project, which is what she used to call it. It's kind of tough to tell where she stands generally on the border and security. Watch this.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminal. Those who cross our borders unlawfully will be apprehended. We will pursue more severe criminal charges against repeat violators.
And we could have gone on. That was just a sampling of this.
All right, I want to stop there, Vic. First of all, Guy Benson's got an amazing delivery, doesn't he?
Yes, he's charming in every way. He's got a terrific voice. That's why I guess they pay him the big bucks, Hugh.
But it's just comedic timing is something you can't teach,
Yeah.
and he's got it. It's a great bit of comedic timing. What about this underlying uncertainty? Because I don't know how big the electorate's going to be. We've banked about 75 million votes. There isn't. We could double that, I suppose. And they've got same day voting in Virginia, New Hampshire, Michigan, and Wisconsin, New Mexico, 5 states that are. Do you think we're going to have a big turnout tomorrow?
No, I mean, that's the big question because everyone's getting all excited, for example, about how many Republicans have already gone out to vote early. And it is truly remarkable. If you look back historically, Republicans tend to be an election day type of people and type of voters. And this time they're out there early. Does that correlate with the increase in registered Republicans? And in other words, are all those people would have just normally have voted on election day, or is this in addition to everyone else that is going to in fact vote on election day? We're only going to find out tomorrow, and I know that this is something the Democrats are worried about because the thing that gives that away is they seem to be emphasizing a lot their belief that one, they can win all these swing states, but two, they said it's going to really depend on a big turnout tomorrow. They've really never said that. That was a Republican line about waiting for election day. All their people vote early. So I think they're clearly nervous about it. But those messages and the contrasts that Guy Benson showed, it's extremely effective if they're able to show that, prime time, social media, and get that in front of people's faces. But don't count on the rest of the media, as you know, to remind people of those things.
Now, there's always been same-day registration in some states for at least 20 years. So let's look at Nevada, where the Republicans banked all these votes that they've never been ahead before. A lot of people think it's over in Nevada for the Republicans. They're going to win. Trump's going to win. But if you can register on the same day in Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Virginia, New Hampshire, those states could change, right? I mean, we got to be prepared for anything because same day registration means someone might never have voted in their life, but if they're 18 and they got a driver's license, they walk in, they get to vote. And if someone tells you can't, file a provisional because same day registration means, I don't like that law. But you can do it.
I mean, obviously that's a big concern, and so the election integrity thing. I mean, everybody talks about it on one side, but I mean, it really does matter how these votes are going to be counted, and the amount of leeway each state is going to give for when they get it in undated ballots, for example. I mean, there's some crazy stuff out there. So, again. They can't think about it in terms of them being ahead, meaning the Trump campaign. They have to think about it that they're behind. It's the only way. So we'll just have to see. I mean, again, it's sort of maddening because if you look at everything that she's done, you'd like to think that the American voter doesn't have that short term of a memory. And again, even as Nikki Haley has pointed out in the Wall Street Journal, you might not like Trump. You might not agree with all the things he says. It drives you up a wall. That's totally fair. But at the end of the day, who's the better candidate? And of course, are you better off now than you were 4 years? That should be the argument they need to close on. So we'll see.
Well, now let's talk about me. I was furious Friday. I mean, absolutely livid because the New York Department of Environmental Concerns and the county in which Peanut and the raccoon lived, Fred, sent 12 agents to seize the animals. Then they euthanized them, and they never called. It is such an extraordinary story of what I used to deal with every day when I litigated against the government. Vic, what do you think about this?
Right. There are a lot of people on one side who are making jokes about it, saying, "Oh, wow, people really care about certain people really care about the death of one squirrel when millions of people are dying all around the world or whatever it is." And it's not about the one squirrel per se, although it's sad. You see the videos; he's adorable. It's about the idea that government is spending all this amount of time and energy to enter your home, to this government intrusion that this is what they're concerned with, and of course it's a violation of your own sort of privacy rights. And what are the grounds for them to enter your home? I mean, I remembered Kamala Harris's line from years ago where she said that be prepared, we might come into your house just to make sure your guns are safely secured. I mean, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. But again, there's a lot of problems in New York. We know this with crime, illegal immigrants, corruption, and this is what they're spending their time doing.
That's the key. The other key is they didn't even think that Mr. Longo and his wife's lives depended on they moved to start peanut rescue animal thing. Now, I'm not into animal rescue. I've never had but they've just totally turned their lives upside down. He's not going to be able to rebuild that. And they didn't even call him. It's just the government is out of control.
Right. You see that. You see what goes on in, for example, the state of California and the amount of intrusion that happens there. And you have to ask yourself, do you want more of this or do you want less? And I hope a lot of people, when they see this thing, I mean, people make jokes about it, but people should viscerally want to just say, enough. I'm not doing this. And then they make that clear with their vote. The timing couldn't be worse for one side, I think. And again, this poor guy, his wife, they need help, and it's like, is anybody safe? I don't know.
Last question, Vic.
Yeah,
we got 1 minute. The Ayatollah has threatened to hit Israel again with ballistic missiles again, and we've sent B-52. Do you think the country is focused on the fact that we are literally on the cusp of something enormous happening?
No. Right now, we're all focused on tomorrow, and as many people would say, trying to save our own quote unquote threat to democracy when there's a real threat to democracy out there in Khamenei and Iran. I'm also worried about the B-52s, which we've been using since 1952. I mean, this is a reminder that the U.S. military.
Those are the young ones.
Yeah,
those are the young ones.
So I mean, Israel needs to do what it has to do.
Vic Matus of